That's what this article is like. Oh, and it teaches your kid to network. And it's like, okay, do I really like need to worry about my 6-year-old networking?
Well, it's a good quality.
From the newsroom to the nursery,
we're juggling a demanding career on live TV with the demands of motherhood.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Karen.
They are AnchorMoms.
Hi, Katie.
Hey, Karen.
Listen, it is mid-September right now, and my kids are already asking about Halloween costumes.
Yeah, for sure. So is River.
Why? Why so early? We just got through the back to school.
Do you need like a breather?
I need a breather. I need like a month off of all major events, holidays, activities. I need some downtime.
This is like when school starts, it's like full on. Let's go. We are talking about Halloween costumes as well in our house. In fact, I'm only laughing because you had mentioned, like before we sat down, you were like, hey, you want to talk about Halloween costumes? It's just so early. And literally, while I went on my little coffee run, I was ordering River like a piece of her Halloween costume, mostly because I saw it on Instagram and I was like, well, I'm here. I'm stuck in this like drive-through line. Like, I'm just going to order. I'm just going to go ahead and order this.
Are you revealing what she's going to be?
She says right now, this is the danger. If you have kids, you know this. This is the danger of believing your kids because River decides usually, and I'm not kidding, like in June or July, what we're going to be, what she's going to be. And we have to like every week I like confirm it because before I go ahead and pull the trigger, I want to make sure that we are indeed going down this road. So she says she's going to be a black cat. Easy.
Oh, nice.
So easy, right?
Okay.
So she has said, now, of course, in true parent-child difficulty circa 2024 fashion, there's two separate costumes that need to happen here. There's the dress like a book character day for school, which is also happening on Halloween this year. And so River will dress like her favorite book character and then come home and change into her black cat Halloween costume.
What's your favorite book character?
I don't know what she decided.
Could it not be that black cat from that one story?
Well, so, it like, again, if you're a parent, like you would be like, okay, cool. So you have 325 million books. Let's go ahead and just like choose, one of the 6 books that you have that feature a black cat. Oh, no. That's like not how it goes down. Like right now she's saying, and this one I have not pulled the trigger on it because this one seems a little suspect to me. She has this Ariel book and she wants to be Ariel. And you have to bring.
I have an Ariel costume.
Great.
If you need it.
See, I'm so glad we brought this up. So she wants to be, but I just don't know what, her school won't say anything, but to me, I'm like, we should be like Anna Green Gables or
something a little bit more respectable.
Correct. A real book here.
A higher bar in literature than Ariel.
Exactly. I'm like, let's so I'm holding out and I'm hoping that I may be able to convince her to, be a little more sophisticated on Dress Like a Book Character Day. I don't have high hopes.
For me, it's just funny because the kids still, you think, okay, we do the same holidays every year in the same order. It doesn't really change.
Nope. No, but it doesn't ever change, actually.
Right, yeah. And they're still like, wait, what's next, though? What's next? And how far till Christmas? And how far till Halloween? It's just, they just really can't grasp it. And when Henry was like, Mom, all of my friends know what they're going to be for Halloween. They're like already on their costumes and we haven't even discussed it in our house. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you went back to school last week. Like, I'm not there yet. I got give me a minute to catch up.
Does Henry want you guys to sit at the table and get a drawing board and all right,
I guess
what is our plans, children?
Get out the storyboards.
Yeah, so what's the plan? I know in your household you have been a hand-me-downs and you're pretty strict about this and they just have to pick and choose. Is that still the case?
Well, it's funny. Here's the issue. Those are all too small now. Except for Sam. Yeah.
What?
Our kids are grown out of, poor Sam's going to get another hand-me-down. But yeah, for our big kids, they're getting older and they're getting bigger. So the hand-me-downs shrink. Because when you're babies, you have all these really cute, animals and different Halloween costumes. And then as you get older, the hand-me-down pile runs a bit dry. So
what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I don't know. Stay tuned. I literally, though, when Henry even mentioned the word Halloween,
you got like a shiver.
I was like, oh my gosh, are we there already? Like, what?
Yeah.
It is like, when he mentioned it, it was early September.
Girl.
Literally second week of school.
It's here. It's ready. We did put up our fall decorations last week.
Did you? Oh my gosh.
We held back on the Halloween decorations, which I had to like, River kept trying to like, we have this like spooky little like robotic hand. River kept trying to put it out and I kept putting it back in the bin. I was like, we can't go there yet.
Well, that's funny you should mention that because the neighbors across the street put out their Halloween decorations.
Already?
Yes.
I love them.
The new neighbors. And I want to be like, oh, sorry, you're new to the neighborhood. We don't do that till at least October 1. Like you got to stop because now all the other kids are going to want to put theirs out. So we got to rein that in.
I love that. I love these people.
And then I made the rule. I said, okay, when the one neighbor who has the best Halloween decorations in the whole neighborhood.
Because you guys have just like a sad little ghost or something, right?
We have nothing. We have nothing. We have one little skeleton.
Oh, a skeleton.
One little skeleton. Which it's funny to me that our kids are like, let's put out the Halloween. I'm like, you guys realize it's one
just
thing.
A skeleton.
It's one thing, but whatever. I was like, when the giant was, so some of our neighbors did get one of those giant skeletons that are in now that are very expensive. When that goes up in like the best decorated yard of the neighborhood, then I will put up our measly little skeleton.
Your tiny little skeleton. You know, we have a blow up like ghost that we got last year that is very large and in charge. And I will tell you, Brian and River.
That's not going to go up yet.
No, I've had to like hold off keep the wolves at bay. But I mean, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you know, like I die every time we put like one of those inflatables in our yard, like a piece of me dies. A piece of me dies.
But your child gets so much joy out of it.
I know.
And I think your husband.
I know. I just hearken back to my days as like what I thought my life was going to be like as like a 25-year-old. And it for sure did not include inflatables in my yard. It didn't. No, I thought it was going to be like a Pottery Barn set. You know what I'm saying? A William and Sonoma, like, curated, like, porch. It's not. Okay.
I feel like your house is mostly like that. You're mostly there. You just gave in on the inflatables.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, dreams change. You know what I mean?
All right, we're going to get to our first article of the day. This is from ABC News. We talked about this a little bit in a previous episode, but this is just an issue that I think is really impacting a lot of folks. Could charging parents of shooters be a deterrent for gun violence? My handwriting is too messy. Okay, so this is going back to the issue of when there is a school shooter and it's a teenager or a juvenile. How responsible are their parents in this shooting? Do they play a role? Should they be held accountable? Should they be charged? So, of course, we know in Michigan with that school shooting, those parents were found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Now, the most recent one, which unfortunately there are so many, I feel like I kind of have to remind folks of which one this was. This was the one at the high school. Most recently in Georgia, 4 people were killed, 9 people were hurt. So now the father in that case is being charged with involuntary manslaughter, second-degree murder, and cruelty to children. In this case specifically, the article talks about how he knowingly allowed his son to possess a weapon. In fact, authorities believe that he gave his son this AR-style weapon as a Christmas present. So the article talks about whether these charges of parents are actually a deterrent, right, to help change the system and make parents more aware of the fact that their guns should be locked up, that if their children access their guns and do something terrible, that they will be held accountable and could serve jail time. The thing to me, Katie, that stood out the most in this article, it talks about, safe storage of guns, which is, of course, a key part of this discussion. This was shocking to me. 3/4 of all school shooters got their gun from a home or a relative, and half of all of those guns were not locked up, were not secured. Half. To me, it feels like, just by data's sake, then, if we lock up all the guns, that would prevent half the school shootings, right? Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand how we can at least take that next step.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, that is, and so if you're a parent, you're an adult, and you are not keeping your gun safely locked up, and your kid goes and commits one of these crimes, you're going to be held responsible. So this dad in Georgia, he is charged with more serious crimes than the Crumley. Those are the Michigan parents. But there are a lot of similarities in those cases. We talked about this, like you said, a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. Both of the kids in this case, the shooters, displayed warning signs of having mental health issues. And both sets of parents, the father in the Georgia case, both sets of parents in the Crumley case, gave their kid these guns. The Crumleys gave their son, I believe it was a Christmas present. A similar situation with the Georgia dad. The Georgia dad gave him as a Christmas present. I think the Crumleys, it was like, I think maybe both of them were gifts. I'm trying to this is the sad part is both these cases are so similar that sometimes I get legitimately the circumstances, they're a lot alike. Both sets ignored some warning signs. In fact, and this is what is crazy to me, this Georgia suspect made some online threats and was actually brought in by law enforcement. And the dad told law enforcement he does not have unfettered access to these guns. We hunt with these guns, but he doesn't have access. And of course, they're now charging this father with involuntary manslaughter, by the way, 2 counts of second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter, 8 counts of cruelty to children. That's how serious they think his neglect was in this case. Right. And I do think, I think like you said, I think this is kind of a new thing. It's only in the past couple of years that we've seen parents be charged like this. And when you read the circumstances of this case, because I do think this is a gray area because sadly, I think sometimes you can't predict kids who are going to do this. I'm not saying that every parent of a kid who commits such a heinous crime like this needs to be charged. But in these cases, I think so. When you look at the circumstances surrounding this, I think so.
Well, I think the warning signs, missing warning signs is a grayer area. If you don't lock up your gun, I'm sorry, you're partially at fault. Yeah. That feels like a very cut and dry, black and white, lock up your guns.
But I think it's the combination of yes, I agree with you. Some people would not agree with us that all guns need to be completely out of reach of really anybody that's entering your home. Not everybody feels that way.
Right.
But then to know that you have a kid who is in the middle of a mental health crisis, you've been pulled in by law enforcement because of threats that he's made, which is the case in the Georgia shooter. And the Crumley's case, their son, they showed text messages from their son sent to the mom in that case where he is seeing things. He is very clearly having some sort of mental health crisis and they ignored it. The combination of those two things, I think, it's sort of indefensible. Now, we'll see, right? Innocent until proven guilty. We'll see what happens in the trial for this Georgia shooter. The Crumleys, the parents in the Michigan case were found guilty. I think they're serving a 10 to 12 year sentence, both of them. We'll see what happens. But looking at the circumstances of this case, you're the first defense as a parent. You're sort of the first defense against this sort of thing.
I will say the kind of the crux of this particular article is, will this have some deterrent value? Mm-hmm. I hope so. I think any deterrent we can throw at this awful situation, whatever it is, whatever we can do to even stop 1 or 2 school shootings, we need to go in that direction.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And some of the prosecutor in the Michigan case weighs in here at the end of this article and is like, they kind of go to her as sort of that prosecutor is like, okay, like here, your case like set a precedent.
Right. And she's quick to say they're not all the same.
They're not all the same. But she also says like, I don't want this to set a precedent because if it sets I don't want this to be something like where other school, where other prosecutors and other states can look at this and say, well, we're going to do the same thing because that means this continues to happen. Like, let's not make this something that we even have to set a precedent over.
And let's not let it get that far down the road where the shooting has happened and now we're talking about how to deal with the parents.
Yeah.
Oh, tough stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Should we switch gears?
Yes.
A lighter note?
Lighten it up. Do you have a lighter mums?
Yeah, girls. This is light. You're going to like it.
Okay.
I don't think there's very few people who aren't going to enjoy this one.
Oh.
And this is very easy. Do you like to drink sparkling wine or champagne?
Of course.
Okay. Right. So you know how when let's say you pour a little bit and then you put it back in the fridge and it loses all its bubbly? I got this, a friend taught me this summer. If you put a spoon in the bottle, when you put it back in the fridge. It
like down in the bottle?
Yeah. Like put put like the stem of the spoon in the bottle. It will stay bubbly. I don't know what the science is behind it. I did look it up because I knew I was going to come on this podcast and talk about this. I had a friend text me. So then I taught another friend this and she texted me last week like, oh, wait, oh my gosh, this like actually works. And I was like, yeah, you're welcome. I don't know why, but it is.
Do you still you can't put the top on? Or
no, because like usually you have to like they're like a pop. If it's like, if it's bubbly, if it's carbonated, you can't put it back on. So, yeah.
Well, I'll still try to put like a wine stopper.
Yeah, but it doesn't work.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, a spoon. All right.
A spoon to keep.
And it's free.
And I knew Karen Zakalak would love this one, right?
Excellent.
You're
okay, I
welcome.
might have to like pop some bubbly tonight just for fun.
Like, let me get to the science behind this because I don't know what the science is.
Just
I just know it works.
Do it
I just know it works. If you pop a bottle of bubbly and you want it to stay bubbly for like the next day or so, put the spoon in it.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right.
You're welcome.
I love it.
Is this me again?
Yes. After that amazing recommendation.
I know. We're just like,
do you have more?
We're just like taking it in.
I think we're both just thinking about a little glass of bubbly right now.
Maybe a mimosa, perhaps. That's what actually, I love a mimosa in the summertime. And that's what precipitated all of this is trying to keep that bubbly alive, for a day or two. Okay. The second article is from Yahoo Finance. The kids are not all right. Gen Z and millennial workers are struggling, and it's time for managers to pay attention. So they did a little survey here. Only 34% of global workers describe themselves as thriving, according to a Gallup poll. And under the age of 35 who say they're thriving, it dropped to just 31% in 2023. That's compared to 35% the year before. Young employees have the lowest percentage of flourishing workers and have experienced the biggest drop in morale. And the article points to a couple of different reasons. The psychological impacts of various economic downturns, the pandemic, the lockdowns, the work from home. And this article talks about how, I thought this was interesting. A lot of this comes down to the manager that you have, that the managers are missing the mark. They are branding these millennial and Gen Z workers as difficult. They don't understand them or take the time to learn how they work. Thoughts?
So there's one line in here that said, when you're physically distant, you're mentally distant. And that a lot of younger employees have been kind of scarred mentally by this work from home period and not being close to their coworkers. This is a big fat no for me. I was thriving. I was flourishing when I was working from home. I think that is, I could definitely see that being true for younger folks. If you're in your 20s, if you are even in your 30s, perhaps, and you might not have kids yet. I get it. They want to be in the office. They want to have that camaraderie. I think that people's mental health is enhanced when you're with other people that you enjoy. I think that if I could say one message to managers about our generation and the things we need to thrive and feel good about our careers and our jobs is give us more autonomy. If you can work from home and that's what's working for you, great. If you would prefer to come into the office and be more social, great. But I think the hard thing, at least for me, and I think for a lot of folks, is this, okay, we're in the pandemic. Now you have to work from home. We figure out how to do that and how that's working for us. And then, okay, now we're out of the pandemic. Now you have to come back. There's just this push and pull and ever changing direction and rules and, management that I feel like is impacting people who are our age. We're in our 40s. We feel like we know how to do our job. We know how to succeed in our careers, and we're still getting told a lot of things. And it just makes you feel not good.
Yeah. I think so. I do wonder if some of why working from home worked so well for you, like when you were exclusively working from home, is because you had spent time here already. You knew a lot of the people and the place, the folks and the personalities. I think if you're coming into a job, like if you're starting a job and you're working exclusively from home or you're working remote, I think maybe that sometimes it's hard to foster a community, a life with folks. I mean, I think that's the difference between maybe like you and I versus, I just remember there was a meteorologist who started here during the pandemic. He's not here anymore. But I remember him saying that it was really hard. He started in 2019. He like just got here and then the pandemic happened and it was really hard for him. It was really hard for him. So I think to some extent, I think that makes sense. I think it also, just as you said, depends on where you are in life.
Sure.
I would love to spend more time working from home. That is just not really feasible. Like you can't anchor from home. But I think my ideal would be like some sort of hybrid position. I do have a couple of friends who do have kids, who do have families, who work exclusively from home. And they are pining sometimes to go into the office just a couple of days a week, just because I think it's
that's
lonely.
why I think a hybrid or a choose your own adventure makes sense, right? If you're a young person and you want to come in and chat with folks, great. If you are in a place in life where you can get everything done from home and it makes more sense for you, great. I think that's where the rub is for a lot of folks, is this being told one way or the other. And I think that if there was more options and more flexibility and more understanding, that would go far.
Yeah. And I think like this is sort of the reality of the workforce now. This is post 2020. This is post pandemic. And I think a lot of people reevaluated what was important in their life. Like people want to work to live, not live to work. And this is, I feel like a lot of companies, corporations, managers haven't really caught on to that yet. And I think that's why you see people quitting, you see people very unhappy at jobs because, people sort of feel like they've been through the worst of it and are like, hey, listen, I want to work. I'm here to do my best, but I also want to enjoy my life and my family and make sure that I'm having strong personal connections as well. This article says the best way to foster well-being among young workers is to ensure managers are good leaders, bosses who have weekly one-on-ones with staffers, provide meaningful feedback, listen to their input, and create collaborative ways to engage their teams.
And I think, the workplace has changed so drastically since our parents were in it. So I think that that's the key here, is for managers to keep up with the shift and keep up with what the employees are wanting and needing at that time. And I think the other thing is, I think that there is this thought process that we have to do everything the same. And, if there has to be this broad general rule, right? Everyone's working from home or everyone's coming into the office 9 to 5. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, for me personally, and I think a lot of folks would agree with this, that I don't really care what the person next to me is doing. I think we're past that. I don't think we need to all be allowed or not allowed the same things. I think that most people these days, and I could be wrong, but are aware enough that, that works for them and their family. This is what's working for this person, but we're all getting our jobs done. And I think inherently most people want to work. They want to feel good about their job. They want to work hard. They want to get things done. So I think that maybe managers need to just think about it from that perspective of, we're not comparing. We're not trying to get out of things. We're just trying to do what works best for our family. Like you said, the focus being keeping in mind what our family needs as well as what our company needs.
And then finally, this article just talks about like once you sort of reduce the misery in the workforce, get rid of the terrible managers, make sure you increase the number of great managers, folks who are listening and who are attuned to employees, it leads to higher productivity, higher retention rates, and customer rates. So in other words, like
better for everybody.
It's better for everybody. It's better for your company too when your employees are happy and fulfilled both at work and in their personal life. So this article was really interesting. And I think I wasn't surprised by it because I talked to my family members, I talked to my friends. A lot of people are unhappy. People who used to enjoy their job, who got into their job because it was a dream that they were fulfilling, feel very sort of on the outside of that nowadays. And I really do think it has something to do with the pandemic and just sort of reevaluating all of that.
And I think that once you hit that period in your 40s, you do take a step back and think, what are we doing this for? I cannot tell you how many friends of mine have left their jobs in the past year or two. So I think it's something that managers and companies need to be aware of.
Yeah.
The last article is from today. I love this.
You love the idea of this?
I love the idea of this. Parents are making business cards for their kids to schedule play dates. So the article is from a mom who said her 6-year-old needed to socialize. They moved to a new area. The mom is kind of an introvert, and I think most moms would agree. You know, there's definitely times that even the extrovert moms are like, oh, we just don't feel like putting it on and going out there and talking to new people and making small talk with moms. So she made these business cards for her kid. It's real cute. They say, let's play, have your people call my people. And it has her kid's name, her phone number, her email address. And so her kid can give out these business cards at a playground, maybe at school, wherever they meet somebody and want to have a play date with them. I love this. I think this is genius. Of course, it got a lot of feedback online, and a couple of these posts about this kind of went viral. Most people, it seems like, agree with this. Of course, there's the naysayers who say this is terrible, don't do this. But I think it's a great idea. I will say it's funny. And I don't know if you're there with River yet, but Ella Ray in the past couple of years, she'll say, hey, there's this person at school who I want to play with.
And then you're like, what's their name? Who
and I'm
are
like,
they?
Do I reach out to the teacher and say, like, am I allowed to get so-and-so's mom's number? Like, how does this work? And so she has, she's come home with little like slips of paper that's like so-and-so's mom and the number.
Oh, cute. Which
is oftentimes almost illegible. And I'm like, oh. And then you're like, do I just like cold text this mom and be like, hi, my kid got your number. And she has done the same and given out my number. I've gotten texts from people like, hey, we got a little note in so-and-so's book bag that Ella Ray wants to play. Here's my number. So I think it's better than that, right? It feels more formal, more, fancier.
I don't know. I feel weird about it. I'm not.
You do?
I don't know. I don't know that Yeah, a little bit. I think if I got one of these business cards, I would be like, what is this? Like,
you wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't know what this, I don't know. I'd have to think about the circumstances, but it does feel a little bit like this is like, how many of these business cards are you handing out? Like, is this like quantity over quality when it comes to like play dates? It just feels like, to me, it feels like a lot. Like these feel like things that should be a little bit organic.
We have to like get to the next level before we're going to do this. I see that point. I will say that I'm in a place in life with 4 children that like I will take the play dates.
You'll take the business cards.
I'll take the business. I'll take the business cards. I'll take the play dates. Like I don't have to be best friends with you for my kid to hang out with your kid for 2 hours. That would be amazing for me.
But are you at a place where you're just like dropping your kid off?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because like you don't have to talk to the parents.
That's the thing. We'll small talk with them, but
yeah.
I mean, I guess to your point, there is like a safety measure, right? And I don't think I would do this and just give a business card and, then like not even like meet, like face-to-face meet the parent and who knows what's going on. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's eventually going to get to the point where our kids have their own phones and are getting their own phone numbers. So I'm glad that this feels one step off of that, right?
Sure,
It's still all coming through me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the big thing.
You're
it's still all
filtering it
coming
all.
through me. I'm filtering it all. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like usually when I'm texting with other friends, my kids' friends' moms, you can kind of get an idea
A vibe.
of like, yeah, this person's not crazy, right? They can keep my child alive for a 2-hour play date.
Okay. I don't know. I don't
love
know.
It. You know, my biggest, as I'm like thinking about this, now this mom has gone to Etsy. So you can now get these cards from Etsy.
Well, this is where she's obviously brilliant,
Right,
because now
yeah.
she's turned it into a business. That is the smartest part about all of this. You're right about that. Like, forget about the actual idea of like your kid carrying around a business card for play dates. The fact that she has monetized this, like, excellent.
I love it. You know, my biggest problem, I'm like, well, I would do this, but then do I have to buy 4 sets with like a different kid's name?
You
like,
can just
I
write
would
it,
be cheap
write it.
and like just put our last name and then like pencil in,
Like
today's, who wants this one? Oh, this is a Henry. Okay, Henry.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hand that one out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because then it's like, they're going to be like, what? Why is my kid getting a business card for a 2-year-old?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I've got an 8-year-old. What's happening here?
Right. Okay, well,
I think it's a great idea. I love it.
okay. Are you logging on to Etsy after
I
this?
don't know. I might. I don't know.
It feels very like networky. That's
It
what this
does.
article is like. Oh, and it
Mhm.
teaches your kid to network. And it's like, okay, do I really like need to worry about my 6-year-old networking?
Well, it's a good quality.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a quick win. Win. That doesn't work the same as mom's.
Win.
Oh, it's just one win.
I don't know.
Win. Okay. We'll stop singing and I'll get to it. So we got to go on a little vacation, a mini vacation away this past weekend. And we love to raft and we raft with our children often, but we got to go on a trip with just adults and our kids were had babysitters. Can I just tell you, I cannot remember the last time that Gregory and me were without our kids for 6 straight hours on a Saturday. I mean, I cannot even think about it. It's probably been years, right? I don't know when the last time would have been that we would have had a whole big chunk of our Saturday was without kids. We went rafting down a much harder river than we normally would do because, of course, we're not having to worry about our children's safety. It was so fun. It was fun for a lot of reasons. We went with some friends and that was lovely. The other thing was, I don't know, Katie, do you ever just have those moments where you kind of flash back to pre-kids?
Yes, but sometimes I'm like, I don't even know who that person was pre-river.
Right.
It's like the weirdest. It's like the strangest.
It is a bit odd.
Like,
but
you're like, what was I thinking about? What was I doing?
Right. Well, we were doing a river that Gregory and I used to do all the time when we were dating, engaged, newlyweds. So it was just very fascinating to be on this river doing this like adult thing with no kids and thinking about, gosh, we used to do this like on a whim whenever we wanted. Yes, like what were we talking about with our friends back then? It wasn't how long we are in the car for after school activities and what the gymnastics place is
and like how do you arrange? How are you like successfully arranging play dates?
Right.
It's kind of wild.
Do you use business cards? What are our quick go-to dinners these days? It was so interesting to be on that river. But it was so fun and so relaxing. I should say relaxing. It was a challenging river, but it was a really, really nice day. And this is just a little, put it in the back of your head, maybe get a daytime babysitter on a Saturday sometime, folks, and like do something fun and adventurous with your spouse, with friends that you haven't done in a long time, because it does kind of make you feel like you
alive
a little
again?
bit. Yeah. It was really nice.
I'm so glad that you.
It was really nice
that you did it. I'm so glad you did it. Yeah.
Anyway, hope that all you listeners get a chance to do something a little crazy, perhaps.
Oh, a little wild.
A little pre-kids-esque.
Oh, yeah. Harken back to
the good old days.
The good old days.
Have a great week.
Bye, guys. Anchor Moms is a Sinclair podcast produced out of WLOS in Asheville. We're your hosts, Katie Killen and Karen Zakalek. Anchor Moms is edited by Matthew Yates.
For more information on the topics discussed in this episode and to stay up to date on future episodes, follow us on Instagram at AnchorMoms.
You can follow Anchor Moms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Know a parent who could benefit from this week's Anchor Moms episode? Your recommendations help our show to grow, so spread the word.